am so blessed because in Hooper Ministry Academy, we have so many people in there who do other things other than preach. I know oftentimes people see us as one dimensional, but we're not just one dimensional. God has blessed us with so many different gifts. And our guest that we have tonight, our first guest that we have tonight, is Elder Cassandra Parker. Now, she is not functioning in the role of an elder tonight. She is functioning as the bonds lady, everybody. So she don't roll up to the courthouse and get to the precinct and all of that good stuff with her Bible under her arm, but she got her paperwork to do her thing. So very quickly, Cassandra, I'm just, you the bonds lady on tonight. Cassandra the bonds lady. Just tell us where you're from and the name of your business, and just give us a little snapshot about your business.
Well, again, my name is Cassandra Parker. I have been in the bail bond industry for about 8 years now. Before I got into the bail bond industry, I worked in dentistry for 18 years as an office manager and assistant with expanded functions. My husband decided to open our business called Quick Bail. And from there, he needed help with the business. So I was able to leave, the public sector of working at a dental office and work for our own company. And so we've been doing it for 8 years now. And it's just been a blessing for us. I mean, another side of ministry, really.
Absolutely. Now, just tell us where you're located so we just have some sense of that.
Well, we are located in Jackson, Tennessee. We service 15 counties. So that means we have other counties that we go to besides Jackson, doing bonds. And also we can also service all the states because we are under
all of that. We're gonna break it down for people. But let's start here. Bonds lady. Now, you mentioned that your husband was in the business first.
That's right.
And he was so busy and he was so overwhelmed with his cases, I guess. Why was that? What was going on that you needed to stop a career that you had for 18 years to come in and help your husband?
Well, basically, he was actually working under another bail bonding company and broke ties with that company and decided he wanted to do his own. Well, once he got busy with the paperwork, you have to keep up with the bonds, the people, court dates and everything. And because we work with an insurance company, making reports to the insurance company, he needed my help.
Okay, so would you say that he was so busy with all of the cases? He had a lot of cases because folks going to jail every day. Is that what you're saying?
Every day. Folks going to jail every day, 7 days a week.
Wow. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start from the top because this is a topic that a lot of people are not familiar with. That's why when you first mentioned it to me, it's always been on my mind. And I kept saying, I want to have her on to the people. Because listen, every time you go to a courthouse, and y'all know how it is, right across that street, it's about 3 or 4 signs that say bonds, and I never knew what they were. So to be clear, I mean, I know now, but to be clear, tell us, what is a bond?
There are actually 2 types of bonds. There's a cash bond that you can post directly with the courthouse. So if you have a $5,000 bond for possession, you can put $5,000 up directly with the court, or you can use a bail bonds company, which was what we do, and you don't have to pay the entire $5,000, but you pay 10% or 15% to get out. And that way you don't have to stay in jail to your court appearance. And that's really important in these times since the courts have closed down because of COVID. And so some people don't have a court date for 3-4 months. And so you're able to go back to work and be with your family until your court date.
Okay, so again, we're going to slow that down and break that all down. So you need a bonds person because you have been arrested for something.
Exactly. You have been arrested for something, and the system.
Well, if they put the cuffs on you and bring you to the station, that's when you're going to need a bond, because they're taking your information, they're going to lock you up, and for you to get out of jail, you need somebody to come rescue you, so to speak, so you don't have to spend the night.
Right, because if you are arrested, it's your right to be given a bond. They have to set you a bond. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does that happen immediately right then and there, or it's going to happen in the morning? You go before a judge and then that's where it's set?
It varies by counties. Like a
Okay.
couple of our counties, they do preset bonds where for if you come in with this charge, then this is going to be your bond and you don't have to wait for a judge. In other counties, you have to wait to see the judge, and that's the next day. And if it's the
Okay.
weekend, then it's 2 days away.
Wow. And you mentioned because of COVID, things are really crazy in the penal system. So let's just say somebody get arrested today and now they're doing everything on camera. So you may not necessarily be going before a judge. So how long could it be before you actually see a judge?
Well, like I said, some of our courtrooms, they do video where they set the bonds over the video where the inmate is sitting in the jail and they just see the judge who's in the
Oh,
courtroom,
wow.
or they bring them in person in the courtroom. So they're still setting bonds. You still have to appear before a judge. But now court dates are 2.5 months out. Mhm.
Woo! So, okay, so let's walk us through it. So, a person is arrested. They're in the jail cell, so they're gonna get the bond. When should they start thinking that they need to make that one phone call? They make it to their mama, to their daddy, to the bond person, to the lawyer. When does all of that happen?
It should happen once they book you in, because when you get booked in, you hopefully you'll come in with a cell phone, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people who don't memorize phone numbers. And so at that point, they give you an opportunity to go through your phone to get any phone numbers you may need to call your mother, father, or loved one, so that you can tell the bondsman who to call.
Right. So, okay. So, again, just as putting a case out there. So, a person gets arrested, they decide to call a family member, and the family member is basically going to say, I need a bonds person. Let me get in touch with somebody.
Exactly. So there's a list of bondsmen that will be on the wall at the jail, in the
Okay.
lobby of the jail. Some people work with the same bondsman all the time. They have one that's in their family. So if I'm in trouble, hey, I know to call, the bond lady.
Right.
They, repeat customers. So, but you get that in your mind so that you can have your numbers available when you talk to the bondsman.
Okay. So I'm in a situation, I'm sitting in the jail, and they tell me that my bond is 50,000. Can it be that high? How high can a bond be?
Depending on the charge. I mean, I've seen $1 million bonds.
Wow. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm thinking little old me that live in the hood is thinking to herself, Lord, if they even give me 10,000, I'm in trouble. What am I? I like to
Okay.
put these real cases out here with people. I've never been arrested in my life. I don't plan to be, but I could imagine the trauma that goes through a person's mind. I was looking at that movie that comes on ABC on Wednesday nights, For Life. It's an
Mhm.
excellent, excellent movie. And the son-in-law got arrested. He
Mhm.
was freaking out in the jail. You needed
Exactly.
that one number, and thank God his father-in-law was a lawyer, so that was helpful. But
See, Dr. Hooper, the thing about the reason why the private bail bond industry was created is to afford the poor people a way to get out of jail, because these rich people were making the whole $5,000 bond and putting it up with the courts. But the person who lives on the other side of town, they don't have $5,000 to give to the court, so they either can stay in jail, or come up with the money. So this way, the bail industry, you only have to come up with the 10% or 15%, as opposed to the $5,000.
okay, so again, just so we could be clear, they tell me that my bond is $10,000, and
Mhm.
I tell somebody, call the bonds lady, Cassandra Parker. Listen, they say, well, I don't have a number, and I'm gonna say, go on Facebook and put her
Exactly.
name, pull her up. She's on there. She's the pretty lady. She gonna have curls in her hair and all of that. Please get that lady. Okay,
Exactly.
so they get you, and what happens?
Once they get me, I'm going to immediately ask for their contacts, because I'm going to need a co-signer, someone to be responsible, because I don't know you. I need someone to be responsible for making sure that you make your court appearances. So I want someone who's working. I want someone who's working, who's been on their job, who is a resident of that area, so that it'll be easy for me to get in contact with them. Once I get the co-signer, then you talk about how much money they need to have, if the person is in town or out of town, and then they meet me at the jail, and we'll fill out all the paperwork, get them in the system, and then that's when the jail will allow us to go back and speak to the person. So not only do I have to speak to the indemnitor, but I have to also speak to the person being held so that they can fill out paperwork so they understand this process that they're about to go into.
Oh, okay. So now this 10%,
Mm-hmm.
am I coming up with the 10%? How does that work? You represent me, I'm out the clear until, how does it work?
Okay, how the 10% works, it's like we're an insurance company. So we insure the courts that you're going to make your court appearances, because I've done my due diligence to talk to a co-signer who's also going to insure it. But in return, I have to write a $5,000 check to the court.
Mm-hmm.
And so the family member, or whether the person has the money on their books, they come in with money in their wallet, or the family member brings us the money. And so in the event that they do not make their court appearance, then the court is going to want the entire $5,000.
From who?
That's where the indemnitor comes in.
Who's the indemnitor now? We don't
The
know.
person who signed for the bond, who said, I'm going to make sure this person makes their court appearances.
So say that family member you're talking about, just to
Exactly.
be that family member. So
exactly.
We're going to walk through this, people. We
Mm-hmm.
got a few minutes and we're going to walk through this. So would you say that oftentimes when somebody is in need of a bond, you need an indemnitor, so you have to have a friend, somebody else who's going to sign? Do you find that oftentimes it's a lot of people that don't want to sign? Does that happen?
We've had that, because there are people who said, I've had mothers and fathers who said, I'm not going to sign for it because they know their child. Like, they hadn't done right by me. I'm not going to put my name on it and be on the hook for X amount of dollars, So certainly we have people who have not wanted to do it. We've had to, send a bounty hunter, because the court does give you an opportunity to bring that person in before the bond, forfeits. That means that the last day that you can pay this money, and we've had to take them to court and they had to pay the money, because the court is going to come to us. Well, I don't want to pay $5,000 for someone I don't know. I'm just their insurance company. So that's why I use the indemnitor to insure the bond.
Okay, so we have to be real clear that even if we're saying at the precinct or at the court, call this person, we really need to be thinking, this is great information that we just pass down to young people, because a lot of times you have these issues with young people, and we're going to create a scenario for that. But we just have to be real clear that the person who we are reaching out to, even if we just kind of get that one phone call or something like that, that person is willing to look out for us. Because if not, that's how people wind up sitting in jail for months and months until the court case.
Exactly, because maybe they've burnt too many bridges, and they don't have anyone in their corner who will say, hey, I'll speak up for them, and so they can get out of jail, because they're just gone down this road of repeated offenses. And I've had mothers and fathers say, I can't do it anymore. They put a lien on my house,
right,
because I had to put my house up, and then they didn't do right.
And when you say they didn't do right, what you're saying is it's time for them to come back to court. They let them out on the bond. Yes. When the bond is done, you are able to get let out of jail, but you still have to come back for the court case.
That's correct. So and as long as, and you may have multiple court cases, and you may go to multiple courts, like you may go from general sessions to circuit court, which is a higher court. And you may go, and everyone who signed for that bond is still on the bond until you plead guilty or not guilty, until you're indicted, until it's over.
Wow.
You may be on it for a couple of years. You may be on it for a year or more, and now we're finding, since the pandemic, that we're on the hook for bonds, and it's going to be over a year and a half or more.
Wow. So even on your end, you really have to be sure of who you're dealing with. That's why you're looking for credible people that have jobs. Exactly. And somehow, even if they tap into their 401k, you got to get your money back. Exactly.
And you can't collect on someone who has, they get a disability check. You can't get money from them. It's impossible. So you want someone who is working, at least you can get it out from their paycheck.
Wow, this is real good, everybody. We have two guests tonight. We're going to talk about credit repair and all of the stuff that's involved in that. But right now, we're speaking to the bond lady, Cassandra Parker from Tennessee, about bail bonds. Now, let's create another scenario because scenarios are important. Let's
Exactly.
just say a young man we know is driving in his car with his friends. Maybe they going down, I live in Jersey, they going down to the Jersey Shore. They're hanging out and they are in the car and they smoking weed, right? Typical young people. Now, all y'all deep folks, just leave that on the side. Because a
Mhm.
lot of these young people smoking weed, they about to almost make it legal. It might be a good thing with the way they be smoking it. But you know, they're smoking some weed. They're coming down 95. They laughing. They have a good time. Ain't got a care in the world because they going to the beach. And all of a sudden, and I have experienced this before, being in the car, you start seeing them sirens and you thinking, they pulling me over? You know,
Exactly.
it's all of us in the car. Okay, so the officer gets out of the car and give us a scenario of what you think that could happen where you come into play.
So what'll happen is that in Tennessee, the officer will ask for the IDs of everyone in the car.
Wait, hold on. So stop. The officer is going to ask for the ID, whether you are a driver or not. The fact that you're in the car,
In the car.
they want to see the IDs of each individual.
Yes.
Wow.
And they're gonna run your name, your driver's license number, your social security number through the NCI system to
Wow.
see if you have any warrants out for your arrest, if you have anything going on. So they run everyone. And so and after he does that, if he smells weed in the car, he's gonna ask everyone to step out of the car. He's gonna search for the weed, gonna ask who it belongs to. Now here's what a critical.
Wait. We got to slow this down, Parker.
Uh-huh.
So all he's got to do is smell it or even say he smell it.
Exactly.
You know, in this day and age, they don't have to be a smell, but he just decided, I pulled you over, you ain't gonna waste my time, or I gotta make up some tickets or whatever. So it's possible that they could literally just, I smelled it, right?
Exactly. I mean, because it could be in your clothes. I mean, you if you smoke in your car is gonna smell like weed, whether you just did it a few minutes ago or it's gonna smell. So if he smells it, he's got a reason to search the car.
Wow. Okay, so let's say nobody fesses up. You know, young people, they're just like, listen, I ain't saying nothing.
I'm not claiming it. It's not mine. Everybody says it's not mine. Well, at that point, everyone gets charged with possession.
A possession of what?
Marijuana.
And how much time is that?
Exactly. It depends on if he finds something and how much it weighs. Depends on the weight of it.
Are y'all listening to this? Are y'all tapping that button and getting this
So
information out?
everyone in the car gets charged.
Wow.
Taken to jail, booked in, and appears before the judge. The judge will read the charges in court and set a bond.
Wow.
It depends on how much weed they have in the car. And if they have weed and also a weapon, any type of weapon, a weapon charge will automatically get you a $15,000 bond. Automatically.
So even if you get in the car, because you know these young people, that's why I want to put this out.
Want to ride with friends.
Right.
I was just riding. Didn't know they had a weapon in the car. Didn't know there was weed in the car. I wasn't smoking, but if no one claims it, it belongs to everyone.
Wow. So even if the person claims it and the person is driving, so nobody else don't know how to drive, you're gonna be in trouble.
Because now you drive without a license But if one person, once they go before the judge, if a person claims it, then the judge has the discretion to let the others off. But if no one ever claims it, then the charge goes on everyone.
Even if they don't claim it right then and there, at least when they get to the court, they have, oh my goodness, wow. Okay, so then that's when you come to play, and that goes back to what we just talked about. Somebody's gonna make that call. And again, and I talked about this a little bit in the sermon today. I can get a bond, lady, but maybe the guy that was in the car, the other 3 people don't have nobody. So that's how one person gets out and everybody else stay in.
Exactly. Or they didn't have the money to get out. Maybe one person has a parent who will bring the money and pay, and the others didn't. So the person who does not or comes up short, they stay there until their court appearance, whenever it may be.
Whenever there may be. And I know in New York City, sometimes these court dates can literally go 2 to 3 years because they get so backed up. We're talking county jail, right? You can be sitting there for a while, kind of waiting for that court.
City jail, yeah, the city jail, the county, yeah, you're sitting there until your court appearance. And see, some courts, we have some courts that meet every day, like the lower courts, like city court and general sessions, but then like circuit court, division 1 and 2, they meet once a month, maybe. So once a month. So there are other people ahead of you. So you may sit in there 2-3 months before you even get a bond. The judge sees you.
Wow.
Yeah,
but I just could imagine. Again, my mind goes back to For Life. And, the young man was just, what do you call it? Protesting. They were kind of doing this whole scene with him out there protesting, and he jumped in, something with his girlfriend. And next thing you know, they, handcuffed him and they brought him in, and he was just terrified. Okay. And I could imagine, and particularly, and I appreciate this conversation because, for the most part, as a Christian, for the most part, we try to raise good kids, but there can be a situation where your child didn't know,
exactly.
And they hung out with somebody and they'll get on that phone telling Mom, I didn't even know he had a weapon. When you walk into that courthouse, you do this every day. And I see your question, Tucker. When you walk into the court, do you see people of color mostly? What do you see in the court?
I do see a lot of people of color. Now, what's big now is more people of color, but the other races are represented as well, because domestic violence cases are on the rise.
Wow.
They're because people are stuck together,
right?
And during this pandemic, and so. It's just astronomical. Every day I go to the court, I can expect at least 2 or 3 domestic violence cases.
Wow.
And once you get a domestic violence case, you can't have any contact with that person, and these may be people who live in the same home. So now the judge has issued a no contact order. So you cannot call them, Facebook them, Snapchat, can't go by. You can't go back to the home that you live in. Now you're trying to find someone somewhere else to live, but you pay bills at the address for the person that you don't have a contact with.
And they sitting up in there if they don't have a bond.
Well, if they get released on bond, they notify the person who they had the incident with. So the police notify them this person made bond, they're out. It's just a safety issue after they've stayed in there 12 hours to cool down.
But you still can't go back there to get your stuff.
Someone else has to go. A third party has to go retrieve your stuff. You can't go back until it is settled before the judge.
This is why I'm having a singles Valentine's Day party. Y'all just hear that story right there, singles? This is why we gonna rejoice that we single right now. Maybe we'll think something later next week. Go ahead, it's something else you seem like you want to say.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go back to a place where they have a restraining order on you, you can go back to jail because you violated a court order.
And now you got to get the bond lady.
Yeah, now you already had a domestic charge, but you went back to the place that you're not supposed to be. You're arrested again. Now your bond increases.
Wow. And about how much? What does that look like?
Well, the first one may have been $1,000. And it depends if it was an aggravated assault, if you used some type of weapon, and you used a bat, or you threw some Kool-Aid on them or tea. That's considered aggravated. I had a guy in court who threw tea on his girlfriend. It was considered aggravated. He got him a $3,000 bond, I believe it was at the time. A guy and a girl, they got into an argument. He hit her. He got a first time $1,000 bond, but no contact. He went back, or he tried to call her through Facebook. Well, they arrested him. She turned the Facebook post in. They arrested him. Now he has a $5,000 bond.
So she used the Facebook. That Facebook can get you in
Facebook,
trouble.
text messages.
Right. All of that plays as evidence now.
Evidence, yeah.
That's good. Let's go back to the case with the kids in the car. Let's
Mhm,
say that the officer didn't smell any weed.
mhm.
What would happen from there?
Okay, he's still gonna take everyone's ID. He wants to identify everyone in the car,
So
just to
that's
make
the
sure
standard. You saying that's a standard now? Is
standard.
that in Tennessee or is that across America?
I think it's becoming
National?
a practice, yeah, for all law enforcement to run the place because they're trying to find people with warrants because people are not coming back to court. So it might be that
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Bo, he's wanted in Arizona, and
Right.
and now he's down here in Tennessee. I'm running his license or his social security number to find out. But then what they do, they'll give a wrong social security number. You know your brother's social security number, they give the cop that. So now you're charged with criminal impersonation because you told the officer the wrong information.
I'm not going outside. Fooling around. Oh my, that's why you got to Google people you meet. You got to get some information. Singles, we going to get into that on next week.
And make sure, I mean, who you know who your kids are with. Because I mean, I've had cases where kids went to Walmart.
You say kid, what's the youngest age?
Well, it's going to be 18 because juvenile gets 17 and under. But I'm talking about, 18 and over, gone to Walmart with a friend. Hey, I'm going to pick up some groceries at Walmart. The friend is in there stealing at Walmart. Arrested at the front door. And here comes your daughter coming to get back in the car with her ride. Well, guess what? Not only does the friend get arrested, but your daughter is arrested because she's with them. And they think they have a theft ring going. Wow. So she might be innocent. And I've had it. She said, I didn't know. She said, I just needed a ride to the grocery store. And she was going. So instead of me driving, I rode with her and I didn't know. She said, I didn't steal anything.
Like accessory to the crime.
Association.
So hanging out with the person. This is good information. I hope y'all tap that share button because a lot of times, again, especially today. Go ahead, you were going to say something.
Exactly. The same with the car. Well, here the kids, how young people like to ride in the car. Somebody has a car, the other ones don't. I'm going to ride with my friends. You get pulled over and you don't know what your friend has in the car. So we have
to even have a license. Like we just automatically assume that they have a license.
Exactly. Because that's another charge.
Wow.
Driving without a license.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping up with you in a few minutes. Is there anything that you want to share with us that we should know about? Maybe some new laws, anything that will come up? This is one thing that I think that people should know that was really surprising to me when we talked. Mm-hmm. I'm in New Jersey. I need a bond lady. You're in Tennessee. Can you help me?
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, hold on. I felt the Shonda right there. Shondo, hold on. So you're telling me that even though I'm in the great state of New Jersey, I can still reach out to you even though you're in Tennessee?
Exactly.
Okay, hold on. But suppose I'm in New York. Can you help me?
Absolutely.
If I'm in Florida, can you help me?
Yes.
If I'm on vacation and I'm in, let's see where I want to be. I already said Florida. Where should I be? I'm in Vegas. And something crazy happens and I was just minding my business walking down Fremont Street. Something happened. I can still call you?
Yes, absolutely.
So in other words, as the bond lady, you got me covered for all 52 states.
Yes, ma'am.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Because our work, we use a surety. So that means anywhere, our surety company, which is based in Tampa, Florida, anywhere they have a bonding company that uses them, then we can bond in that city, that state.
Wow, that's good information, you guys. That's good information right there. And again, not just for me, because the Borough Hooper ain't going to be needing no bonds or going nowhere. I pray to God, nothing happens. I'm going to be, but I'm not going to sin. But if you have a child, a loved one, a family, at least you can pass this information on. Or you can just say, listen, reach out to the bond lady. You need to get a Facebook page that says the bond lady.
Right. And sometimes it's just as simple as you're driving without a license. How many times have people forgotten to renew their license or your license was taken because of child support, I mean, you know, any simple offense, you know, something simple like that, you know, public drunk or, you know, disobeying the stop sign, little things. Some people think it's always the big things like the drugs and the weapons,
Right.
but there are little things where my license ran out and the DMV is closed. So I can't go there to renew my license. They're scheduling appointments and my appointment is 2 months out.
And I got to get to work. These are real situations. I like to talk about things like that because they really do happen. A lot.
And you know, people driving on suspended license the 10th time. Well, I have all these fines to pay. I can't pay the fines if I don't go to work. How am I going to get to work? The bus, public transit doesn't travel out where my job is. So we got a lot of those. I have to pay the fines, but I have to get to work to pay the fines.
Oh my goodness, there's so much going on, and particularly in this COVID.
Mhm.
Again, this is just really good information to know. Before we wrap up, I want to go back to this. You did mention that domestic cases are on the rise. They are beginning to skyrocket, and I'm sure it's not just in non-Christian homes, but they are happening in Christian homes as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Two things are on the rise: drug use, meth, heroin, crack. I mean, we've seen these legend drugs
Pills.
back, and ecstasy pills, and also domestic cases are on the rise.
And a lot of that you would basically attribute that to the COVID. People are depressed. This is one of the
Yeah.
things I've been talking about with
Have
this.
lost jobs, and so they're seeking other ways to make money
Right.
to pay this rent that they hadn't been able to pay.
Yeah, we were just talking about evictions and debts. If you haven't seen that video, you need to go back and see that. That's why I wanted to talk about these things because oftentimes, as I said, it is easy. We're going to get to the next topic in a minute, but it is easy because we're not at our local churches inside to just sit behind a computer. You really don't know what's going on with your members if you're not connecting with them, reaching out, you know, some type of way, hearing their voices to see if you hear depression, to see if you hear, you know, the struggle. If you're not doing that, then you really don't know what's going on. And this is why I've been sharing as a ministry coach with pastors and ministers, even with you all at the academy, that I promise you, when we do gather again in our houses of worship, which is going to happen, you're going to be surprised at the stuff that's coming in your office. You, as a ministry leader, may be at the top of the list for counseling because you're going to be so overwhelmed with what everybody's problem.
Exactly.
You know, everybody's looking at that video with Bishop Noel Jones breaking down, but a lot of us are going to be looking like that because as a real shepherd, you bleed for the sheep. You bleed for the sheep. This has been tremendous. Bonds lady, please tell us, how can people get in touch with you, follow you, what information, you know, last words you want to share and leave with people?
Okay. The name of our company again is Quick Bail. Here's my card.
Okay.
Quick Bail. I'm also on Facebook.
Back up and leave it there for some minutes.
Okay. Quick Bail.
That's me. Over so they can see the numbers.
Okay, let's see.
And you know what you do? Send me, no, the other way, a little bit to the right. Okay. Send it to me, take a snapshot and send it to me. I'm just gonna put it up there.
Okay. And yeah, we're on Facebook as Quick Bail and also Instagram as Quick Bail. So you can DM us, you know, send us a message, and we, you know, I'm really quick about getting back to you. We do 24/7 bail bonding. So I may not go to the night calls, but my husband, he does, because we have children, and so he takes the night calls and I take the day calls.
But what happens if I'm in New Jersey? Are you flying into New Jersey, or you just take care of the paperwork online?
I contact my surety company, and they help me locate a bondsman in your area.
Okay.
That can walk you through the rest of the process.
Okay. But if we do need to speak to you or something like that, we can talk to you
and ask your questions, and I can point you in the right direction. I mean, we point people, I mean, we can't name a specific attorney, but we give a list of attorneys that you can choose from.
Oh, okay. Before we go, does anybody have a specific question that you like to ask the bond lady? Anybody have a pressing question that you would like to ask? You know, I've seen the signs and the businesses, you know, right in front of the courthouse, going there for whatever, or just walking by, you know, in the area growing up. And I never really knew what it was about, but you know, with things changing at this particular time, I definitely want to stay in the loop. And this has just really been so valuable. So thank you. I didn't see anybody come up with the question, so we are going to stop here. Y'all have, thank you, Angela. She says great information. Remember, she is available all 50 states, 52, whatever. How about Hawaii? Is that included as well?
I'm sure. I mean, because if our, like I said, if my surety company has a company that's established there already, then I can help you through the process.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, this is Miss Cassandra Parker, everybody. Lock that name in. Do not DM me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, Dr. Hooper, what's the Bonds lady name again? Follow her on Facebook. Remember, I started at the top with telling you that she is a preacher. So as a preacher, every Monday afternoon at 12, what time you come on?
I have Motivational Monday Moment at 12 o'clock on Mondays, every Monday.
Every Monday, so you can follow her and get a word as well. If you've already following her, you don't have to listen. You don't have to be running around trying to figure out where she is or trying to drive me crazy when I jump off at 12:30. You'd be like, Dr. Hooper, get off. I need to find the Bonds lady. But this has been great. It's been tremendous. Did she ever have to put up her own money? Sharon is asking.
Like if someone didn't appear for court?
With the bond. No, she doesn't put up her money. She's a surety company. She represents.
Yes, that's right. Now, we've had the occasion where people did not appear for their show up for court, and we had to hire a bounty hunter. If the bounty hunter didn't locate them, then
and that's when you spend your own money right there, right?
Exactly. But the person who signs for the bond, the co-signer, is responsible for the bounty hunter fees.
Oh, and how much is that for?
So say your bond was $5,000. We collect $500. The bounty hunter normally wants that $500. So in essence, we didn't make anything on that bond. So there's been time where we had to pay the court the whole amount. Well, if I have to pay the court that whole $5,000, then I'm suing the co-signer for the amount.
Lord Jesus. So you know what? Don't call Deborah Hooper and ask me to do anything, because I'm not putting up a house, a dog, a cat, shoes, nothing. Because people today don't know how to keep their word. They'll tell you that they're going to come back. You know, as you said, you have a lot of people out of their homes and going through all kind of stuff, and people like, I can't risk it for you. So I think the most important thing that was really priceless today is just really try to be as conscious as possible as to who you're dealing with.
Exactly.
So that you don't put yourself in this position. Any last words you want to say?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Dr. Hooper. Just make sure you're conscious of who you're around, who you're inviting into your home, who your children's friends and acquaintances are, who they're hanging around, because you just never know what's going on in someone else's home. We take for granted that everyone was raised like us, but the truth of the matter is that everyone is not. And so you want to make sure, I mean, there's no guarantee that you won't ever fall into trouble, but make sure that you have the information you need to get yourself out.
Yeah, that's what this is about right here. I had a situation with somebody at the supermarket with me, and the girl said something there. I said, you talking to me? But now I'm thinking, for Hooper, mind your business and keep right on walking, because you don't want to have to be calling the Bonds lady.
Right. I mean, and there have been people who
are so hostile in this COVID climate. People are very, very hostile.
Exactly. There have been people who've been arrested for unpaid tickets. Mm-hmm. And so now you have a bond because you refuse to pay tickets. I mean, I had a girl who said, I believe paying tickets is unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. Well, sitting in jail, this is constitutional. So, you know, handle your business, take care of your business. It might not show up today, but it will come back. I mean, they're pulling cases from, I'm telling you, 2000, 1996, old cases that are still active. You have a warrant from 1996.
Wow. This is really, really, really good information. All right, Bonds lady. This is the Facebook Bonds lady, everybody. I branded it. She is Facebook. You see that pageant right there? That's a pageant wave. This is the Bonds lady. Get a real good look at it, because you may need her. I pray that you don't, your loved ones don't, but if you do,
We do.
please keep in mind you are not alone. You don't fall apart. Get your head together and know that there is somebody on Facebook. There's a bonds lady who can help to get you out. What that card say? What's that slogan say?
Let's say, quick bail.
Quick bail. Get out of jail fast.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Parker. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. You can sign